Hey everyone, welcome back. So this is the first video of this tutorial, and this is the one where we start playing a little bit of the GUI. So let me put an enter here, and this is the GUI that we are going to create, a very simple one with two drop menus and some button. We are going to go through a lot of details, so you will understand what's going on and how we are going to manage this. But if you'd like to learn how to create this GUI in a very good way, just stay tuned and follow this video. This video is a part of the tutorial where we are going to use Python to create a user interface and communicate with a microcontroller. And as you can see, we do have a bunch of steps to go here. This is the first video where we are going to create the initial user interface to set up the connection. So in general, all the code is written on GitHub, so you just have to follow. You don't need really to type, just understand the logic. We are going to use Python, and the text editor is VS Code. Finally, it will be quite hard for you if you don't have any knowledge of Python to follow up with this video, but I will try to explain and to go as much as possible in details. Then for this tutorial this time, first of all, we need to go through a little bit the GUI management logic. So I'll explain to you how the logic will be built for the whole GUIs that we are going to see in the next tutorials. So you have an understanding about what we are doing from code perspective. Then we are going to start coding, setting up the root view. After that, create the connection class. So we are going to use classes and also create the static widget, so the one like a label. And after that, create the option menu widgets, and finally create the buttons. So let's jump quickly and take a look on the general GUI management logic. Okay, so first of all, we are going to use the Tkinter. This is a Python library. It's something standard, which is really good, so you don't have to download nothing for this moment. So we do have our PC. We would like to have our Python GUI. We wrote a bit of code, and we do have our root. So the root is a widget. So don't mistake me. This is a widget, and this is the widget that will create all the other widgets. So be aware that the root is one of the most important one, the solid one that you will build on it. All the others, graphics, or that they call widgets. So after that, on top of the root, we are going to create frames. We are going to manage our interface, our graphic interface using frames. And why using frames? Because frames are a kind of a local roots. So we need to have these local roots, and after that we will going to create the widgets. But here, even a frame is a widget, but I'm referring to widget here as the other static or even dynamic component that we are putting together there. And why we are creating a frame? Because one of the things we can loop through a frame to get all the other component inside is a kind of a parent for that widget. And this will help a lot to manage the GUI and also the logic when we will need to get data, extract data, or even to manage the graphic itself. And also there will be some situation where we will create another frame, put some widgets, but also putting a frame inside the frame because we need to have other element inside the frame that we will need to manage. So in general, this is the picture. We will going to create a root, but on top of the root, we will be managing through frames. So we can access easily the data or the component that they are inside, understanding where we are going. Hope this is clear, but if not, we are going through the code and you will see directly how we are going to manage that. So we don't need to spend more time. We can go and jump setting up our root view and start our coding. We are going to start by creating the files that will manage our classes. So the first of all, let's create the master.py. So master here.py. This is the file that will just call the main root and we'll run it. But the most important here, we will create another one. We call it the GUI master here, where we create a lot of classes later on, and we call it GUI master.py. So first of all, let's go through the GUI master and initializing our first class. So before that, we are going to use the Tkinter. So from Tkinter, what we are going to import, we import everything. So import everything like this. And after that, what we can do is put here the class name, what we call the root GUI, And we just put here and make the definition of the initialization function. So we call here the init function. We don't need to have the known here that we have here like this. And the first thing that we had to do is putting self is equal the tk. So it's a capital TK. By just doing this one, we are initializing, it's not self, it's self.root. This is what we are going to call later on. Just by using this, we are initializing our root. So let's go now to the master here, and from the GUI master import, so we do have only one function here, and that's the GUI, the root GUI. So what we are going to do, we are calling root master. This is the one that we will control everything, and that will be equal to the root GUI here. And we don't need to input nothing because this class will need nothing. And what we can jump directly and try to do is go for the root master like this, dot root. And what we can put is the main loop. And just doing this, so if I go here and put Python master, I don't think have where I am here. So let me check again. So let's open in the terminal. So if I put Python and put master like this, what did happen is we do have our GUI here. And this is the root GUI that we do have here. That's perfect. But there's one thing that I quite really advise you to do, extremely important to make, is to go and put at the end of this file, on this one, really at the end, and whatever the code that we are going to continue, and we are going to put if name here is equal to main, like this. Just a moment here. And what we need to do, we can run the root GUI class. Okay, let's put this one like this, and equal to equals, else the if would be wrong. So what's going on here is that what we want to do is this class is never executed only when it's called by the master file. And what's happening here, if I keep this one, what may happen with other code is the code will be executed also in the GUI master. So by doing this, because when I'm executing the master here, this file itself will be a main file when the others will be called with their name. So Python, when it will be going to run the file, it will check here. So I am in this file, and am I in the main file? No, so I will not be running anything. But of course, because this one is the main, it will be run and there will be no issue at all. Okay, so let's run it again and see what's this wonderful root that we do have. Yeah, it's nice, but this is not the size that we want at the beginning, and we need to work on quickly to see, you'll see how quickly we can improve this one and have a better view for this. So let's go, and we go to the GUI master. So here what we can do is just what we can put is self.root again, and dot title, so we can make a small update. So what we put here is serial communication. For example, we can change the name, and you can see quickly what would happen. So by running this, we will have here serial communication written here. So now what we need to do, we will do a little bit of aesthetics, just changing a little bit the size as we want, and also configure a little bit the background color, just for you also to get familiar with how to modify this root. So let's go here and put self.root again, self.root, and what we put dot geometry, and what we can put. So now this is a number that I worked on, so you can play a little bit with it. So this is the width, and this one will be the height, and that will be 120. And finally, to change the color, or the background color, so I will put here and the root, and I will put config. What we can put, this is a BG for the background, equal, and I put white. Okay, let's save and run. you can see, let me show it in the screen. You do have now a very clean with a size that we need of a nice GUI, root GUI. Okay, that's good. So let's go now to the next step. So we created the main root one, and we can jump and create the next frame that we are going to manage. And this is about the communication frame, the one that will connect with the microcontroller. So what we can do here is create another class that will be managed separately from the root GUI. So let's put here class, and we will call it the communication GUI or com GUI, and put here, and as usual, create not here, but this, we can create the initialization function. So we go for init like this. I will remove the known and the pass, and I will keep the pass for the moment. And so the first of all, what we are going to put is the frame here. So we are going to build the frame, and after that I will create another function, the one that I call publish. So the one that we'll be using for publishing. So I'll put here publish, which will put the component on the grid. So I'll put publish here, and I usually I will be using the self and putting pass for the moment. So this is something that we create. But here as an input, for this frame, what we will need is to have another extra parameters that we can input here is the root. So we will need to have the input of the root and what we call here. So let me remove the pass. So let's go self.root. It will be equal to the root. So we will be keeping the root with us. And after that, what we can make is also put create the frame. So it will be self dot frame. So this is how we, and this is where how we are going to create the frame. And in Python, it's a label frame, and the root of that frame will be simply the root here. And we will give it a bit of text. Let's say text will be the communication manager, the com manager, for example. And also, we would like to have a little bit of padding. The padding is the distance that you do have with the other element. So I'll put pad x is equal 5. We will see later on. And also pad y is equal to 5. That's something fair. And to change the background, we can put is equal to white. Okay, so let's put same, so it will be simple to understand. But when we do this, you will check here. This is not going to work until we go to here. And what we need to make is put that before the communication master, we need to have the com GUI also included here. And what we can do is com master is equal, so to initialize with the class, so we put com GUI here, and we need to add the root, which is the root master dot root. So now we are passing the root to this new class. So save in here, but still, even we run like this. So let's run it and see. Nothing will appear simply because there's two things. At the end even of this part of the video, nothing will appear, but I will explain why. Because we need to publish this one. So what we need to do here is to start by putting a grid for this one. So let's go here and put a self dot frame here that we will have, and we need to put it in the grid. So put it and place it inside. So what we need to put is we just make its row equal 0. So on the row 0 of the root, and also in the column 0 also, because this is something that we would like to have at the really highest top left. And the row span, how many rows we think we take, let's say row span will be equal 3, so it will be equivalent to 3 rows. And also from the column itself, column span, it will be equal also to 3. This is not an arbitrary choice. I would rather maybe it had a different way of doing it, row span and column span 1 1, but this time we will use this one. And finally we will add it a little bit of pad x here. Let's say let's start pad x here, it is equal to 5, and this is to keep a little bit of distance against the main root, and also the pad y we'll put 5. Okay, but even with this, we should not expect, we will not, yeah, as I said, we will not expect to see nothing because there's nothing inside. And as far as there's nothing inside, the frame will not appear. So now that we created a frame and prepared it, we can jump and add some static widget within the frame itself. Okay, so we do have the publish here. So let's start also before that, putting self.publish, and this will allow to immediately publish whatever the element that we do have here. So publish will be at the end. So with this one, and also we need to put this GUI here, the communication GUI class, also within this list, so we don't have anything running inside this file in a way that we don't want to have it. So let's run here and take a look. So as usual, we don't see nothing. And let's start by adding the labels, or the really passive element that we do have. So let's take the first one, and to declare the label, so I will add directly the code, so don't need to enjoy my slow writing. And we can see, so first of all, I put self.label underbar com, that's the name I will give it, and that will be a label. The root of this label will be the self.frame, and that will be the frame under the com GUI. And the text will be available ports, because within the label we will check all the list of available comms that we have connected. And after that, the background white, the width 15, and the anchor will be at the west, means I would like my text at the left. Okay, so we do have this. So let's save. And after that, we just need to put it in on the grid and put a position for that. So let's put this one here. So we go to the publish one, and we add this. So we put the label and the backcom grid, column 1, row 2. So that's where we want to have this one. So just to repeat again, so what we are doing right now is we created the frame, we created the label, and then we put self.publish, which is a method that will be used here to grid everything. Okay, so let's run it. See quickly the result. Yeah, I need to save before normal. So let me here run it, and let's check. We do have our label here with available port ready, and you can see there is the com manager as a text, and it's big enough to hold this nice label. So now what we are going to add is a second label here, and you'll see it's simple as the first one. We call here, let's put the label. I have the text, so we don't waste time in writing. So don't forget, we would like to have the self.publish method at the end, and we do have here the root and the baud rate that we will be selecting. Same, we would like the text to be at the west or at the left, and at the end, what we need to add here at the publish will be to put it in the grid. But don't forget again, very important step here in the grid, just for you to understand how I'm using this grid. So it will be same as a column 1, but the first one will be row 2, the second one will be row 3. So let's save here and put. So you will see now that I have my available port in the row number 1, sorry, column 1, row 2, because I kept this one empty. After that, I do have the other one in column 1, but row number 3, which means, in the other hand, I could put 1 and 2, but whatever the number will be, the one and the next one. So now we do have both labels, or the passive element, ready here that we can use directly. Good, so we finished adding these labels, and I hope you could understand that's very simple, but just for you to go step by step at this level to understand what's going on, how we are setting up the GUI. So we finished these two really passive elements. We are going to add now the option menus, and this is a little bit more work. So we set up everything from the passive element, and we are going now to create the drop menu or the option menu. And to do that, I'm not going to add it in the initialization function here because that's a little bit heavy that we will have here. And just to keep our maintainability quite high, and we will have a simple code to manage, because as you can see, we already have a lot of lines here to manage just by putting declaring this variable. So I will create a new here method. So I will call it dev com for the port that we would like, and option menu, and that will be calling only the self. So that's really helpful to work with this. And what we are going to do, first of all, is to create a dummy list. We'll call it the comms, and we will put here just a bar like this, and also another com3. That I'm adding com3 because I do have a com3, but that can change from a computer to another. That's typically random. Okay, that's what we would like to have in our option menu in the dropping list that we will see. So this is what we would like. Like I can add here a bunch of comms, other ones. So I put 9 and 7. Usually the computer doesn't generate 1, 2, 3 directly. So I put 4 and here 5, just for sake to have a list. But I can let me change also because the order is important. So I put like here, so you will see the list will appear in this numbering. But after that, I'm going to create, so let me add it directly here so you can see it. I'm going to create a new variable that will be, it's an object actually based on a string var. This is a very important object when you're going to manage with GUI, because this is the object that will allow to stock information and to input information within the object of display. So that's very important to manage this one correctly. So what we are going to do is saying that my click of com, this is the click underbar com, or the list of coms that I do have, which is string var. The first element that will be displayed will be the coms, this list, the number 0. Okay. And after that, so I do have this variable that I declared within this two element and declared and then set to a certain extent. After that, I can use that one to create correctly or properly my option menu. So let's go here to the option menu and go check for it. So I will have a new variable here, self drop.com. Here, this is the drop menu. It's option menu to add the menu option for the dropping menu. And after that, I always have to set up, say, what is my root? And here my root is the frame related to this here, this com GUI. And after that, I'm adding the self.com. This is the string that will be managing the input and output data. So if I would like to read the data, and we will see it later on, we are going to use this variable. And this star comes is the whole list that we will have. Okay, so that's the most important step. And after that, just this is from a GUI setup perspective, you may even skip this step. It's just we are putting the width of the GUI for that level. Finally, just as a part as usual to continue, so we put it here as a self.drop. So what we can do, if you would like to grid it and put it in the grid, so let's make it a little bit intuitive and we can see it together. So we put a .com here is column 1, row 2. So for this one, the drop here, if we would like to do it, that will be a grid exactly. So we would like it in front of the column. So if I put like this, a grid, it will be column 2, row 2. So it's quite simple, easy, and clear. So let's put like this, and a no. It will not work because even it will generate an error, because I have to call my, here I put a self dot, and that will be the com menu that you need to call a method and to see this. So let's do it quickly. And here you are, you can see that I do have my drop menu. The first one is this dash here, and you can see com 3, 2, and 6. So we do have our drop menu, but you can see it's a little bit tight, but let's continue with that. We will update a little bit later on. So now we set up the com menu. We can add the number of the baud rate that we would like to select. So let's go here and add another function that we can maintain easily, and let's call it dev. We call it board option menu, like something, yeah, strange names as I like calling them. Okay, so as usual, we need to create the string var object and put it in a certain variable. Okay, we do have it, and it's a different name, and we need to be sure to have those names because we will need them later on to extract the data and create the whole list. And then I'll be adding, because it's no meaning to write it here, of the boards that are all possible for the serial that we do have and the serial for Python. Unfortunately, it stops here, where the STM32F1 can go to 1 million baud per second, which is really awesome. Okay, so, and after that we can exactly copy paste the same logic. So let me copy paste the same logic here. Okay, and let's go not here, here. Yeah, I forgot to add this one. And for just aesthetics, to keep things quite nice, let's put this one like this, and we do have the width. And you can understand that we will be exactly the same thing to put it in the grids. You see how it's maintainable, easy to manage. So I will put here and grid like this. The gamma, that's wrong, like this. And it will be, for this one, it will be column 2. I think so far it's very easy. So let's go. We do have an error, of course, because I simply forgot to add this. So to add this self like this, and dot, we put this menu, because this will create the object. And what did happen is I didn't create the object, I just publish it, and they say, hey man, why you are showing me this object without creating it, or doesn't exist. Let's try to run it now, and we do have this com available port that we will detect later on, and the list of all the objects. But something is strange. I'm not seeing this one as a first one. So let's go quickly and check. And you can see this is because we didn't use the set command. So let's go here. We can copy exactly the same thing from here. We're not going to use the click underbar com. We are going to take this click bd here. And from the perspective of, we're not going to use com, we are going to use PDS 0. Let me take this here, and PDS the position 0. So let's save, run again. I think this is a good mistake. This is something that show us how that's working. And we do have this just dash here. So that's perfect. Okay, just for now, for aesthetic purposes, I'd like to add a little bit of things. Feel free not to do it, but just to have a beautiful view for this drops. So what I would like to do is to add some paddings, like just a self padding here. I'll be adding, where is it? Will be, yeah, here. Some parameters. So I will always keep the publish at the end, because I'll be creating, adding things. And from the padding perspective, from the to have a nice one, I will add some padding, same only for the grid one, for the upper one, so it will create a little bit of space. Let's come here, and it will create for everything. So let me delete this one. So this will create a little bit of space between the element, just to make the eyes easy to see and better, like this one, a little bit better. Not really very interesting, but just from aesthetic perspective, and for you guys to play a little bit more to see which one convinced you. Okay, so we finished the drops. Now we can jump and add a little bit the bottom that will make the action going on. Okay, let's go to the final step to add the bottom and preparing the logic. Okay, so I guess you can expect directly. So let me make this one here, close all of this one, so it's easy to see and maintain. So now we created the option menus. We are ready. We can add the button. So let's go here for the first button, and this is the refresh button. So we will need two buttons, one to refresh the comms or the port that we do have, and one to perform the connection. So let's go and add here the bottom. So I forget this one. So same, we will have the bottom refresh, we will use this frame. The text will be refreshed and the width of this bottom will be 10. And that's quite a very simple thing. And after that, to publish this or to put it in the grid, it will be a really straightforward. And you can imagine if we can put it. So we go to the publish here and we just add the bottom here, and you can see the column will be column 3 because this is column 1, this is column 2, and this is column 3, row number 2. So let's save, and if I do like this, you can see the bottom. It's really simple and straightforward. Then we are going to add the other and final bottom to this frame, and that will be the one that will make the connection. So this is the bottom that will connect. So let me bring it and copy directly here. So let's go to this place, and same as that, but there is one different thing that we have. This one will have a state disabled. Yeah, so we will have a disabled state, right? So I'll explain to you. So this is the bottom connect, so btn.connect. And if I go here, you can imagine, you see now how it's simple when you structure the job that we do have, how simple it is to create the GUI. So connect, and it will be the row number 3. So let's take a look. I hope that I wrote it correctly. If wrong, I will, yeah. And we do have this connect button that is disabled. And why this is disabled? Because first of all, I'm not allowed to push connect when I don't have selected my board and the port that I would like to connect to. And I would need to put some logic here. And this logic will be triggered each time I'll be changing this how to say these option menus, and that will help me to control that. So what we are going to do right now is to add some functions to explain what's going on. So first of all, let's go to the option menus that we do have, whatever the baud rate or the for the comms itself. And what we add here, very important, we put command. This is the command that will be initiated each time. So we will need, and it will be a method. It will be a self dot connect control. That's what we can call it. So it's a connect control. But we need to go here and put it for the moment. So the connect control. Okay. And we will put a pass on it for the moment, self, and we can add here passages. Or let's put a print connect control. Oh my God, connect control. Just for us to see the behavior that's going on. And it will be exactly the same. So for this one, connect control here, and we go also for the option menu. We need also to add the command each time, not to publish. So exactly when I create this widget, and each time I go for it, it have to update and to check. So let's quickly close all this because I don't need to publish anymore, and also close this just to have a clean view of what we do have. Let's go on this one, and if I select something, I have an error. They are saying it needs to have 2 inputs for to be sure that it's working well. So I guess probably there is something wrong on this. Let me have a quick check. So it's saying what they're saying, take 1 position but 2 were given. Okay, so what I can add here, just I put hold on, no other. I'll put other here. It should be fine with that. So let me run it again and let's check. Yeah, we do have each time we click here, we do have logic. That's perfect. That's exactly what we need for the moment, because that will be in the next video how we will manage this logic. Okay, but also we have 2 buttons. We need to associate some function to the button that we created, and those functions are really important because one will be refreshing this one. We need to keep refresh what we do have. So to call a comment or to call a function, from the bottom is always we put a command, and we put say self.com and a bar refresh. That's the function that we will be calling. It will be also defined here. Let's put def here, and we call it, as we said, that will be the com.refresh like this, and it will be having a self. It should be good. So let's put print and say this is a refresh, just for the sake to be sure. And let's save, check that everything goes well. Let's run here, and we'll bring it. If I could refresh, it's refreshing. That's perfect. That's really good. So final one is to add a comment. Where is it? To the connect button. So for this one, we're not able to connect, but what we will do is we will put just a moment self serial com or serial connect. That will be much easier to get there. So let's put here self dot serial and connect. This what that will make the big thing, and there will be serial connect. So let's copy this one so we don't have an error. Okay, we put here, and we put a def, we call it serial connect for the self, and print here connect. And just to get back to you guys, why it says I'm receiving two element for the connect control, because the connect control is coming from the option menu, and the option menu, when it calls a command, it sends also the variable, the string var that we created, just to be sure with that. And let's remove the state here. Well, that's only for now for purpose of testing. Okay, so we do have this button. So if I put refresh, it's refresh, connect is connect. Okay, so we do have our GUI ready for the next step. The GUI is here. We need to put a little bit of logic and also start the connection with a serial command. Thank you.